is Crazy Talks with Carlotta, and I am your host, Miss Carlotta Electra. And today I have a very special guest, and his name is Mr. Topher Barrett. Everyone give it up for Mr. Topher Barrett.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, see, Mr. Barrett has a very special place in my heart. There was a time. See, I'm gonna recollect the story. This is sort of like a prologue, but what's really cool about this story is it actually kind of leads into what we call the inciting incident. If we were to tell the story of my life, it would sort of start here, and I wouldn't really need to go too far back. But essentially, so I was 15 years old. This was 11 years ago.
11 now?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. You imagine that?
No.
That's a trip right there.
Dang, 26.
Yeah, I'm 26 now.
Is that possible?
I wouldn't have thought so. Not at 15. But I was from a very small place. I was from Lawton, Michigan. And I sort of was dropped into Kalamazoo Central after I essentially had to go through a really hard experience. I was in juvenile for 4 months. And in the end, I wasn't charged with anything. So I just went through a whole experience, more or less for nothing. But after kind of bouncing around in the care of a few different people in my family, I had to start Kalamazoo Central. And it was like roughly about December 1st. And I remember approaching the building and thinking, this building is like massive, like insanely big to me.
Sure.
And it was a little overwhelming. But then I got to my first computer class and I was like, this boring, very boring. Then I went to my second class though. And it was, shout out to Miss K. It was Miss K's English 10. And I saw a To Kill a Mockingbird poster for the theater program. I thought that was really cool because I read for To Kill a Mockingbird in my 9th grade English class. So I thought that was interesting. And yes, I read for Atticus. I felt cool in 9th grade.
Nice
but like
lead role.
Yeah. So I kind of segued into that and I started theater in 9th grade. But at that time, I was more into athletics. But when I came to Kalamazoo Central, it was sort of like I didn't know it, but I needed a break. I needed something to kind of go right for me, something I could dig my teeth into, something to exude my passions. So Ms. K said I needed to go to the 500 wing, and I need to find Mr. Barrett's studio. And I was like, there's a 500 wing? There's a whole other wing to this building? And I'm going in the general direction I was pointed to, and I was like, where am I going? Seriously, I had to ask for directions, and I eventually I don't know how I made my way over there, but then I did. So the inciting moment of my story would have been when I walked into your studio, because that's where it all started, more or less. I mean, it was, I don't know if you can remember that. That was definitely a hot minute ago.
That was a hot minute for me. I mean, do I remember that exact moment? I would have to say no.
Yeah.
But, like knowing the immensity that Lawton was a very much a smaller school compared to K Central, around 1,600 students. And, I could see the magnitude of that is quite different.
All right.
So that moment I know was filled with awe and connection with you when you entered my room, but I don't know all the specifics at that time.
Well, it was, I mean, you never really know the significance of someone when upon first meeting them.
Right.
But this, of course, led into me auditioning for this show, and that show was Wiley and the Hairy Man by Miss Susan Zetter. Shout out to Susan Zetter. But I just remember walking into the audition, and there were all these, very skilled actors, and they're all talking to walls. I said, this is
Preparing for the monologue.
I go, they're like, you need to have a monologue prepared. I go, what's a monologue? Why do I need to have it prepared?
Coming in green.
Oh, yeah. I was green as grass. But obviously I had made the callbacks and we were reading. And I had no expectation of how this was going to go. I was just kind of going with the flow. But then I read for Wiley and the Hairy Man, and lo and behold, Mr. Barrett was impressed.
Yeah.
I don't mean to brag.
We did have a lot of upperclassmen, and so, but we needed somebody to embody the physicality, the playfulness of Wiley. And Wiley's character in Wiley and the Hairy Man is just that, a character full of suspense and joy and just wonder about the world. Like, his eyes were big, right? Especially when he's in the swamp. And he's playful and he's just interactive in a way that's just, you need that boy youthful energy. Mm-hmm. And you had it, and you embodied right away we were super impressed. But the big question for us is like, who is this kid? He's new, he's green. We have upperclassmen that have been here for 3 or 4 years. And so that's, to take on the lead role is a big commitment. And there's a fear and there's a reservation of like, we got to give this to somebody that can handle it, that has proven themselves as well. And so there's a lot of discussion on that. And so you definitely impressed right away from the beginning.
I mean, it was such a fun character to play. It's kind of like the role of living the life through younger eyes. It changes your perspective a little bit. But I think that's a great word there, joy. I was filled with joy playing the role, and I really had to bring a little bit of an aloof sense of like exploration, I guess.
Yeah.
And I won't ever forget the very first moments that the lights went on, and it was my first performance. And I know you're gonna remember this because it was unforgettable. Okay, it was the moment where Wiley is waking up out of bed. And of course, Mammy is there, but it's the moment where I had to put on my shoes, the Converse, and that I was trying to tie my shoes, but I don't even know how this happened because you just can't expect this kind of thing. But somehow, some way, a bunch of burlap from the set knotted my shoes together, the shoelaces. So I'm sitting there and the scene is about to carry on, and Mammy's like, Wiley, what is going on over there? And I'm like, Mammy, my shoes is busted. I don't know what to do. And I'm like desperately trying to get the burlap loose. And I don't know what instinct came over me, but I decided to stand up out of bed, take a small step forward, and basically force fall on my face. And everybody thought this was hilarious. Like, from my perspective, I'm really just thinking, how do I get this burlap loose out of my shoelaces? And lo and behold, somehow me falling to the floor and aggressively trying to yank it out of each other, it worked. So I knew it was almost like from that moment on, like I was bound to have a very successful acting career.
Cool.
It felt like.
Well, that's the beauty of theater, because it's live. The improvisational choices that you're making, and that choice was so organic. Like you had to completely make something up in the moment that was so authentic and original and unique to that place and time.
Right.
So. And then that brought the aliveness open to it, because even you didn't know how it was going to go. Like there was no planning at that point. It was creating in the spot.
I mean, we spent so much time in rehearsal, and I was just gradually getting used to the whole process. And then that moment came, and of course I didn't know what I was going to do, but I more or less became prepared for that. And I think maybe that offered me a little confidence. Okay, so let's move on for a second. Now that I've painted the picture.
Well, I painted the picture, and I just do want to say that, like, in going back, that audition, we did end up going with you as the lead.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that we had a lot of seniors, and those seniors were extremely talented seniors.
True.
But I just, the testament to you, and that we trusted that you were going to take on that role and that leadership and that taking on that character, and you definitely proved us right, which was a hard choice for us, and validating, because you did knock that character out of the park, and the other characters that had to, the seniors and a lot of people that had to play the spirit characters, which were really instrumental to the whole show, and the supportive roles, but they, like without them too, playing those roles, that show would definitely have not had that energy, that commitment, that pizzazz.
We had such great actors then.
Yeah,
I learned so much from so many of those people. It was a heartwarming experience, my first show. But, of course, so your profession would be you work at Kalamazoo Central High School. Yeah. How long have you been doing that?
So I'm a Kalamazoo Central High School theater teacher for the last 21 years. So this 2026 year is my 21st year, so I'll be completing that. I started in 2004.
Okay.
And I just graduated previously from Western Michigan University's theater program.
Okay.
I transferred into Western from Lansing Community College, and where I did the associate's degree in theater. And that's where I discovered acting. That's where I discovered my love of performance. And I had a child at a young age. So, like, just to back up a little bit, like, so at about 20, I just graduated from high school. I fell in love in high school. And about a year into that relationship, we had a child. And my son, who is 30 today, just had a baby. And so I just became an oppa like a month ago. Yeah. So that's 30 years ago that my son was born. And because of that impact of his life in my life, I discovered theater and performance in my first couple years of taking some college classes. Mm-hmm. My high school grades were not really good at all, so I had to start with community college. Yeah. And so because of that and his birth, then I ended up taking some acting classes, decided to go to Western, and then decided to also do education, on top of that, because I was going to have to be home, connected, father.
Yeah.
So I've been, blessed to doing theater. The real story too, we have some parallels, me and you, if you didn't know that.
I love parallels.
Yeah, me and you have a lot of parallels, which is beautiful because theater has come into your life as a huge impact, impacting you in a way that has kind of opened us up to there's a world out there, and that I can play a role in that. But unfortunately, my background, the parallel is I ended up in a juvenile detention facility.
It's rough.
At 17.
It's so rough.
Yeah.
It's rigorous.
Yeah.
It's it's hard enough being young, but they're let's just make it extra difficult.
Yeah, let's take all your clothes away, everything, strip you of all your identity, and just give you state-issued clothing,
right,
and have you sleep in these military beds.
And we're gonna remind you of what it's like to just lose your freedom. By the way,
yeah,
welcome to juvenile.
Yeah. And I ended up in one for 6 months, and I did have charges against me, and I ended up in the court facilities, for at least 3 times, and by the third time they decided to put me away due to incarcerate me for 6 months because of my, we'll call them B&Es, grand larcenies, my theft, a lot of choices that due to my anger and frustration with life, I was resorting to making choices like that were not healthy.
Well, you're not alone.
Yeah.
You're definitely not alone.
I'm not. I'm in good company.
It took me so much time to learn and adjust and try to find some sort of balance, equilibrium, anything. Any amount to just being grounded, feeling forces from supports that sort of tether me to reality, right, and keep me a little bit in check. I'm definitely for that, and I love parallels. We all have our parts in our journey that kind of just change your perception a little bit. And let's just give a special shout out to all the teachers out there. All y'all teachers, y'all putting in the real work. Let's give y'all a raise, please.
You guys rock.
Yeah. So one thing that has been on my mind, and it's kind of funny, I asked you to be on the show, but I also, over time, I sometimes speculate, okay. I'd be out of all the shows I was in, I did Midsummer, I was in Macbeth, I was in The Tempest, I was in Comedy of Errors. That's exactly what I was going to say. So out of all those shows, when I really break it down, for a lot of reasons, I think The Crucible is so top tier because, one, we did it in 2016. It had great relevance. 2, it's 2026 and it aged very well. Wow. And that text still holds lots of relevance. And I remember when we were in character study, I was sitting right there, and you and Miss K were in front of me. We're trying to discover what was the inciting incident of the play. Okay. And of course, I was playing Reverend John Hale of Beverly. And I had delved into the text, and I was I think my character's entrance is the inciting incident of the show. And then you guys looked at each other like this. And then you looked at me, and you're like, that's totally right. And I was like, yeah, I'm cool. And it really helped me. I just feel like if for some reason there was an alumni of just the people who were in this play, we would either have to all switch roles or we would assume our previous roles. But either way, from my perspective, I just look back at my performance, and I just wish I was just a little bit more immersed, and maybe if based on my experience now, maybe my line delivery would be different and it would be a little bit more engaging, because it's a serious play and there are serious characters, but I just want to give that little extra layer of depth. But
Nice.
nothing's gonna replace that. Probably my favorite line, all of acting, was when during
got
the court scene.
Oh, okay.
It was his exit when he was all like, "I renounce this court."
Before that, I remember when he first entered in the scene, your inciting incident moment, someone says, "There's some big books you got there." And he's like, "They're weighted with authority."
That was such a, oh my gosh. See, and that's the thing. The character is going to carry themselves a certain type of way, and they're going to kind of assert themselves a little bit. And that was what made the character so much fun. There was that aura of expert authority, right?
Exactly.
And a little bit of like a determination from his part to see this through, and like nothing's going to stop him. And then the whole situation just goes haywire. Just a situation of pure chaos and anarchy and misinformation. And these are all ideas that are still applicable to today. And I just think it's crazy. Out of all the characters I played, somehow that one gets me still. I would love to be immersed in that. In general, that world that we were in from Arthur Miller was very engaging. I almost wish I could see that play from an outer perspective.
Ooh, right.
Because everything from the way it was staged, it was called a flux stage, right? Is that correct? Thrust stage. Thank you. Oh my God, it's been so long. I think the thrust stage was also a really effective part of it, just to help the audience feel a little bit more immersed to these scenes.
Well said.
We also had those really awesome, what do you call them, set props, right? From the Park Street or Parks Trade Center.
Kalamazoo Civic Theater.
Yes, there was the.
Park Trade Center is where they store it.
Yeah, that was when I went down there. I saw Smaug from The Hobbit as a full-scale puppet. Full scale.
He hides down there, doesn't he?
That was the coolest thing ever.
It was. That was an amazing experience that they don't do anymore. They actually don't rent out props to high school theaters. Yeah, they've kind of cut that program.
Dang.
Yeah, shameful.
Darn it.
So you got to see a very rare, have a rare experience because not too many people get to do that.
That was crazy. I remember seeing basically what was like a heart-shaped bed with like velvet on top or something, and it might have been a water bed. And I was like, okay. Then when I saw that, I said, okay, this place actually has everything.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, the Civic Theater has resources. They store, they recycle. They do a great job of saving the work that they've created from the past.
Right. It's awesome to repurpose stuff like that. You know, sometimes I think about one day I might put on my own production. Is that possible? Am I allowed to produce a production based on my own work, or is that not appropriate?
It's possible. I think you would just have to find the space and the place and the team in order to kind of put that production together.
I think it would make the most sense if I assuming this was a really like well thought out piece of writing, which is being formulated in my brain. Peep that when the time comes. That it would be interesting if I had someone else direct it. I don't know why, but that appeals to me because I think having another perspective is kind of like taking a step to sort of advance a new piece of writing, essentially. That was just my thought. I think it would be exciting if I ever right now in my life I have the opportunity with this clean slate I have to kind of go forward and do just about anything I want, and that also like opens the opportunity for me to potentially do college and then be able to get into theater again. That possibility is definitely open to me.
Yeah. Can you share? I have a question of curiosity. Because of those productions were quite impactful on your life, the Wiley and the Hairy Man, the Crucible production, these things, when you transferred to Kalamazoo Central, could you speak to the fact or speak to the idea of how they impacted you? Like what was the significance of just being a part of a production and what that did for you personally?
There is such significance in that. There was such power in that. For one, I just got to learn the power of imagination through something like improv. I thoroughly enjoyed through all that work in rehearsal that we put in between, like just the scenes that we acted in, and then our scene partners. That little bit of chemistry that would develop, that also reflected in our performances, was fantastic. Because there was definitely instances where I spaced out. Like there was like, I must have been focused so intently for 30 to 60 seconds that my brain spaced out for like 2 seconds. And then shout out to the people who were in productions with me, but they would sort of compensate. They would sort of like, they'll throw an extra line in there to indicate where we are in the scene. And then I would pick it right back up. But outside of just that, all of those productions, they gave me so much. There were so many moments outside of the productions themselves where I felt a little bit more validated, because other people saw my performance and they would tell me what they think. And there was so many people that did not know me in this really big school that wanted to get to know me. So it opened this completely different kind of door for me, where people would approach me saying they wanted to be friends. Yeah. And I think when I first moved there, I was very determined to kind of just sit in the corner. Okay. I'm like, this is very big and very scary, and there is a lot going on at once. I'm going to mind my own business. And that is not at all how it ended. It didn't take long for me to sort of be a part of multiple social cliques, because it wasn't just the theater kids who I got to like engage with. It did branch off a little bit. But between all of those people in theater, they all taught me things I did not know. And as we were, receiving tutelage from you, these were skills that I more or less carried on through for such a long time in my life. Understanding where your role is and what your tactic is to get what you want. I embraced that a little. I embraced this idea that situations can be brought upon me and I might not know what to do. And it was like improv. Say yes, go with it. Right. Trust your instincts. Mm-hmm. But I know that throughout that journey, I was very focused on refining my skill in acting. I wanted to continuously keep doing it as often as I can and play new and very different roles and kind of challenge myself. And I think the first real instance of me genuinely challenging myself through acting was roughly about when we were doing the One Act Play Festival, or on or about or after, was when I first started doing Shakespeare performances. Mm-hmm. And just the iambic pentameter kind of archetype text, understanding how to perform that and kind of breaking down on the lines. It was a little bit of a different game, and I of course had great teachers along the way. But once I started to get into that, it started off as such a foundational understanding to like a much more in-depth understanding, and then kind of understanding thespians from like a first-person perspective. Like, I get why you guys like this stuff. And it was so much fun to perform, I guess because the lines can be performed in more than one way. But I wanted to make it sort of with my own, or at least with, as an example, when I was in Comedy of Errors and I played Antipholus of Syracuse, I thought it was a lot more fun to just put a lot of life into the lines. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to explain that further with words, but I knew I wanted to make my line delivery entertaining, I guess. It wasn't like bloated out, but I knew that it was definitely my goal to make my character sort of seem like a big deal in that instance.
Okay. And maybe what the trick is too is that because of the cumbersome of the language, is that there is more emphasis on bringing out the character, mm-hmm. really bringing out the physicality of the character and the movement of the character, because the words are only going to be somewhat maybe so like 70% absorbed by your audience, and, right. and 70% is probably high, but like there's going to be a significance of the language that's lost unless it's conveyed through the body language and the eyes and the actions mm-hmm. and the actor itself embodying the meaning behind the lines, mm-hmm. since the words can be a bit cumbersome and create a little distance between the audience.
Right.
So I think that is significant. I can see how acting has really greatly informed your life and informed you in a way and crafted you into a very eloquent man. And so like your ability just to speak and to convey your thoughts and feelings in such a significant way, and the way you can not just communicate, but just the way you can kind of hold yourself in a way that, like to have that charm, to have that charisma, that I think acting is, is contagious because of that infectious spirit that people show. And you have that. And so like, I think that's, I could see the significance, and not on top of that, giving us the tools to like process our thinking, to process like the depths of a character, right? The psychology of what do they want, what motivates them. And so I think that kind of teaches us too, that we are, in a sense, built up of psychology in, ourselves, and we can kind of get to the point of manifesting some of our own choices if we know how psychology works.
Right. I think the more I progressed into the theater thing, from the very moment I was casted as Wiley, there was such a euphoria, there was such a high. I wanted to put so much of my effort into this and really ride this through. And through that process, I found identity. I had something I could claim that was a part of me that I was engaged with and I took seriously, and I was gradually learning more and more about.
Powerful, yeah.
But it was Miss Lee, my college English teacher. She was like, she asked us this question. She was like, "Who are you?" Or like, and I was like, I would say like, "I'm Carlotta," and she'd be like, "No, that's her name." And I'd be like, "Well, I'm an actor." And she goes, "No, that's something you do."
That's good.
Boom, roasted.
Yeah. She's getting into the heart of a very difficult question, a difficult question that we should all wrestle with significantly, because we take on the identities of a lot of things that we do, or roles that we play. But really, down deep, who are we? What is in us? What makes us? Who we are.
Right.
And I see that, like, the significance of the experiences that you've had together, that we've shared, and in performance, because I'm telling you, the parallel that also for me, theater opened me up and brought me consciousness. Like, I didn't think I was alive. I wasn't even aware of my aliveness before theater, before performance. Before like delving deep into the artistry of theater. So like there was, and I don't think I had an expression or an opportunity to have expression. Like I didn't have permission to do that, and theater gave us permission,
right,
to express ourselves in such a creative, powerful way.
We needed it. Yeah. I remember being described as flamboyant back in the day. I'd like to think I still embrace that.
Yeah.
I really do. I think that just being able to engage in theater the way I did, it truly allowed me to just expand. I mean, I got so many connections out of it. On top of that, I started meeting all sorts of people. I definitely really liked, particularly, the various performances that we got to see along the way. And I always felt like this sort of gauged my artistic mind a lot too. I remember watching Diary of Anne Frank at Farmers Theater, or Farmers Alley Theater, and then we watched Angels in America at Western not that long ago.
Was that at Western Michigan?
It was that was like back in 2017 or 18.
Wow.
And I remember it was one of the most beautiful shows I ever seen, especially just because of their props. There was this prop that was basically like, it was like three really tall glass windows that were like almost ceiling high that was used throughout most of the show. It was a set piece. And it was beautiful. And I remember when that angel at the very end of the first act or whatever dropped down, I couldn't even believe my eyes. There was just rows of massive feathers and these beautiful fluorescent lights everywhere. It was epic. Because I just watched the same show at the Civic Theater recently.
You saw it, me too.
Yeah. Because I was
It brought back memories from the original production that you saw.
It did, because I had delved into that writing while I was taking script writing classes, and having an opportunity to see that again was huge. But I also got to relish in the fact that I felt like such an adult because I can buy a drink and watch a show at the same time.
That's funny.
I had to relish in that experience a little bit.
Did you watch? You read that production in Tucker's class?
Correct. Shout out to Tucker Rafferty.
No way.
Yeah, who gave me great tutelage. I loved writing those Like, it was like we read, say, Death of a Salesman.
Yep.
And then we would ascertain certain things about the play and find our takeaways. And Tucker would give us a little bit more in-depth information about the play, as far as like its plot and the various things that it's sort of I don't want to say insinuating, the underlying ideals, if you will. We'd review over these things, and we'd sort of take a step forward and try to make our own piece of writing, and sort of in reflection of that. And each time I did this, I got a little bit stronger until the very end of the class. And I find this hilarious because I did take the class twice, but I wrote a Fantasia on criminality and vigilantism. The thing I liked about it was the fact that I decided to sort of divide the stage into two pieces and have two different, basically the same scene taking place at the same time, more or less, but either having them take place at the same time or switch from location to location, basically telling the same story, something like that.
In different locations?
Yeah, like let's say we have one character who is underground, but then the same character is like above ground, and they're communicating with each other, and you see they're back and forth, but they're just in two different places. I sort of was playing with this idea, and I like that part about it. I think worked really well, but Tucker did not like the better part of the rest of the play. I mean, I can understand saying the dialogue doesn't flow well. Okay, I only spent like a lot of time writing this very lengthy, like 5-act play. And it was sort of intentionally bloated out. I wanted it to be very high stakes, if you will. Mm-hmm. And in the end, he was just like, this ain't it. Mm. And I was like, why? And this was the one that we we had done, what was it? It wasn't a performance. It was just like a public reading. Okay. And this is the one I chose. And I was just desperate for people's reactions. And some people were like, that was interesting. Seems like what they were trying to, I guess, infer, or like what do you call it? The vibe or the message they were trying to put out was a little subtle, and it was a little very apparent. And they had to kind of just sit on that and chew on that for a second, because it was essentially like, it was just kind of like viewing criminality and something like vigilantism from an exterior perspective, and it kind of just forced you or challenged you a little bit to think about how you felt about that. Okay. Whether you think either someone taking the law into their own hands or someone trying to gain from like greed or something, which one of these people is more wrong, which one of these people is really right, essentially. It was a contemplation of morals, and I was really trying to hit on this, but then as I grow older, I think about this little piece of writing, this massive piece of writing, and I think this can be improved. I think mostly what needs to be improved is the characters themselves. I kind of wanted to rework them all and come up with something that seemed more, I don't want to say grounded and serious, but characters with a little bit more of an engaging story where watching them interact sort of kept the audience more engaged.
Okay. So this play never made it to the stage. This is a written play that you workshopped in the classroom, talked about it, and was able to discuss it, but you haven't had an opportunity to produce it, I think.
Nope. It was revised at least 12 times. Right. But I think for me, I could just rework the whole thing from bottom to top, more or less. It's going to be going for the same thing, idea, but I definitely want it to target it towards modern matters. And maybe that's the thing. It just evolved because of what has happened in life, whether on a local scale or on a greater scale. Either way, I want the text to be relevant. I'm talking about we need some 1984 dystopian society. Come on, guys, get with it. See the messaging. Be angry. Rise up. Start a revolution.
Well, there was a production at Western that was the 1984 production. Josh Hadjman actually was in that production.
Shout out to Josh.
Yeah. Josh.
Dang. So I missed it?
Oh, you missed it.
Oh,
Yeah,
hell
this
no.
was probably 4 years ago.
Dang. I missed a lot of theater in that period of time. I was too busy doing martial arts, which is what I transitioned into. And that was something that I had to contemplate a lot. I was like, after 2018, I didn't intentionally think, oh, this is my last performance. I just knew that at that point in time, there was this weight that was acting, and I had been lifting it for so long that it's like I'm in a really like comfortable position with my craft. I felt like I sort of accomplished what I set out to do. And, you know, after like graduating high school, martial arts kind of always had my focus, but it wasn't a hobby. It was more like a lifestyle. The lifestyle choice that was martial arts always kept me active. It always kept me. It was my new form of expression. Okay. It was the next thing I needed to rely on to explore my own creativity, and that's really what it came down to. Physical activity is great, but being able to sort of explore with different motions was really something that kept me going for a long time. Parkour was very similar because it's just it's another form of expression through motion, and both of these things was my best friend at that time, because I was like, dang, right now so many of my peers, they're going to college and they're engaging other shows, and I don't know, my priorities are a little different. I sort of had to take a step back and evaluate myself, and I think in the end this sort of benefited me a lot, because I'd say between the period of time of right when the pandemic started and now, I had to get my shit together, run into you know, I had to jump through hoops, maybe made a few mistakes, and in the end, it led me precisely to where I'm at, which is, you know, I have my own little clean slate, and I can do whatever I want.
Well, I'm excited for your clean slate and what you're able to do with that now. And so this is part of the podcast, right? The clean slate, and so we're into episode 3.
Huge.
So like, and so I think it's boundless, right? Like it's you know, it's finding that crazy, like endless pursuit of all the possible things that are, you know, like crazy out there. So like I like that exploration. That
right. We definitely here at Crazy Talks with Carlotta, where we're talking about how that's crazy. We definitely want to take the opportunity to inform. We want to tell fantastic stories. And we want to learn about all these fantastic people. Speaking of which, what's your favorite kombucha?
I'd have to go with raspberry.
Really?
Or boysenberry. Or
that sounds like elderberry's weird cousin.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, there's a lot of great ones out there. You know, give me the basics. Give me lime, lemon, a little bit of raspberry, blueberry. Yeah, I mean anything that just cuts the harshness a little bit.
Right.
A little fruit.
Yeah, I'm all about that mucho mango and
you?
that peak lady apple.
Lady apple, I like it. That sounds good.
Perfect. Just you gotta get that if you have a carbonation craving, okay, try kombucha. It's like a fermented tea, very bubbly, lots of probiotics. Don't knock it till you try it. It's very frothy.
You're not being sponsored, are you?
No, this is not a paid promotion. Not at all. There is so many things in this world I would promote. Like off the top of my head, Studio Grill makes this black bean burger, and it's got an onion ring, jalapenos, and barbecue. I smash that burger. I don't care if it's breakfast. If it's breakfast time,
3:00 in the morning, whenever it's going down the gullet.
I'm going in there at Studio Grill and I'm telling them straight up, give me that black bean burger, and I'm putting hot sauce all over it with all the jalapenos and everything. I don't care.
No reactions later.
No.
The body.
No.
Good.
Why would that happen? I got a strong stomach. I can handle just about anything. Okay. So, question: what do you think? What this new event center is gonna be like? You think they're gonna have any good food in there?
Good food is probably the least of our concerns. I think, you know, like the biggest talk is really, you know, the impact of traffic, the impact of how many people it's going to bring to downtown.
Oh my God.
You know, can people escape or commute through Kalamazoo when some of these events are taking place. I'm excited for it because I think it's definitely going to bring more of us downtown. It's definitely going to be opening up some venues,
Right.
Restaurant venues, and more food options. But it seems like just the amount of people in Kalamazoo commute these people in and out quickly and with an ability to escape, because the Wing Center now from the highway, it's easy to access and to go to and from. But now downtown, I think
it's very contested.
Yeah.
I mean, all of my people, shout out to my people over there at the ministry community and the gospel missionary, we're just a hop, skip, and a jump away. If there's anything remotely convenient out there that is actually offered to us in some way, shape, or form, we will be there. You got a space with Wi-Fi? Check. You got a really good water fountain? We're there. Like, the place looks massive. It's got these parking garages, and I look at it, I'm like, man, you think they'll kick me out if I do parkour up there?
I think you can look at it like a gated community.
Ooh.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't know. Like right now at this point, it's offering shade. Maybe like if the sun is too intense, get on one side of the building and you've got that.
It is kind of blocking every view possible.
Right. Yes. The skyline for Kalamazoo has definitely changed, and it's amazing how buildings do that. And now all of a sudden you can't see a certain part of the city if you're going in a certain direction. So, there's some downsides to these buildings going up. Definitely brings a little bit more shaded areas down, so that areas in the city that will never see the sun again.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to McDonald's. That McDonald's is so through. It's just a flat plane of dirt.
Yep.
And I used to get my McChickens there. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
So with our last 3 minutes, I just want to do a couple housekeeping things. So all the viewers out there, I have guests scheduled in the future, and they're awesome. Please be very, very stoked for that. Furthermore, I want to give a special shout out to the people at First Presbyterian Church. They serve a church dinner every Wednesday at 5 o'clock, and doors close at 5:15. They serve amazing food. The people there are super, super kind and accepting, and they take prayer requests. And my prayer request that I requested was answered, and I found housing. I'm in a better position in life. But if you guys need a meal, you want to be fed plenty, go to the First Presbyterian Church. Miss Meredith will be at the door to greet you happily. And they have hot sauce at the end of the table. This is my particular perk. And also they offer cookies, and I like oatmeal raisin and white macadamia, and that's definitely a perk. One time they actually gave us these loaves of bread, and I reached straight for the orange cranberry, and I did not regret this decision. It was a super fruitful decision, literally. So thank you to all the people at First Presbyterian Church. You've been feeding me for a hot minute.
Love that place.
You can rely on them, folks. And, of course, there are other resources in the area. Now, I've talked about a lot of my experiences on this podcast, and I just want all the people out there to know there is support, and there are plenty of resources for so many different things. And if you get connected, you can get help, too. And if you feel like you're in a disposition in life, I can relate. I was there, and I would definitely like to give another special shout-out to all the people who were there with me along this journey that was very difficult with me trying to find housing and get back on my feet after going through a crisis. Again, a very special thank you to all of those people. And I would suggest if you are in a little bit of a situation, getting connected with the Integrated Services of Kalamazoo. They have case management services, and there's an urgent care center just down the street from the bus station. So that would be it for housekeeping. B-Dog.
Hey, Carlotta, I appreciate you having me. It's a very special opportunity just to connect with you again, just to see you grow, prosper, deal through the challenges that you've had to face in the last few years. And I'm just really proud of you, and just, like meeting those challenges, like working through those, reaching out for support, being honest and transparent, and being a light for other people in order for them to kind of see some of the choices that you've made and just be an encouragement to and for others just to get through these difficult times. Whether it's financial, whether it's mental health services, whether it's housing, like being that light for others and that encouragement, like that means a lot to me. I think that's the best gift that you can give any of your educators, just to show your successes. And this testament to in this space that you're doing, and the things that you're doing in this space, beautiful.
I'm happy to be here. And to all the people who I have helped out there, I don't regret it for even a single second. All right, then, y'all. This is Crazy Talks with Carlotta, where we talking about how that's crazy. Topher Barrett out.
Peace.
Be brave, be beautiful, and be kind.